I want you to see this. This axle's got one. Kind of hard to believe because check out when we look. That looks cool. It's another day here at Freeman's garage working on the abandoned 56 Chevy. We're gonna pull the rear end out of the car and we're gonna start refurbishing it. We're gonna do new seals, new bearings, new gasket, new bushings. We're gonna clean up the entire unit, including the leaf springs, and give everything a fresh paint job. We're also going to install a breather on the axle housing. I'm not 100% sure right now how much of this rear end refurbishment we're going to get done in this video today because, well, not all of the parts have arrived in the US mail yet. But that was supposed to be impressive. I was supposed to shoot really high up and then I was gonna catch it with one hand. But I could pick the hose up with my foot. Anyways, let's start working on the 56 Chevy and see how much we can get done. NASCAR. 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 Oh man, I am fired from the pit crew. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna get sent back to the ARCA series. Before we go any further, I should probably tell you what the plan is real quick. So, while the differential, the axle housing, is held in place here in the car, we are going to pull the axle shafts out and we'll get the backing plates and the brakes off on both sides of the car. We're going to disconnect the shocks. And then we are also going to take out the U-bolts. There's two on each side. They are securing the axle housing to the leaf springs, just in case you don't know how that works. And also up at the front, let's see if I can show you here. We will get some more light back here in the trunk area and at the back of the car so we can see better. But there's a bolt there. And then stand back up, come back into the trunk here, and then we've got a shackle here where you can see there's two nuts and a plate that has to come off. We got to do that on both sides. Now, I did come in here the other day and I soaked everything down with some penetrating oil, so that should help make things easier, and with no trunk floor or gas tank in the way, that also makes this a lot easier to get everything out of here. We're going to use the old brake drum trick to pull our axle out, but first we got to get 4 bolts back here pulled out. Let's get this light set up in the trunk first. I've just got zip ties hanging here. They've been hanging here for a long time. Probably ever since we cut the trunk floor out. Which I actually wish that we didn't cut the trunk floor out when we did. I don't know. I kind of wish we would have just waited and then just did replace the whole floor at once, but oh well. I guess it's a chunk of work that's already done though, so whatever. It's just these guys back here we got to get out. There's 4 of them, so we'll yank those out real quick. How are you doing today, by the way? Well, that's good. Me? I'm feeling chipper than a jaybird and sounder than a dollar. Oh, actually, does that even make any sense these days? Sounder than a dollar? How sound is a dollar? Positive vibes, man. Positive vibes. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Alright, hopefully this axle wants to come out nice and easy, since we've already had both of these axles out before on this car. And man, those things, they did not want to come out. But I think these will. We'll see. I mean, it's not going to be, they shouldn't be in here, they shouldn't be as difficult to get out as they were that first time. That's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully this pops out here. Without pulling the car off the jack stands. There we go. Oh man, that smell coming out of here, it brings back, I guess, kind of good memories. And then it also just smells disgusting. It smells just like an old plastic green military canteen. Forgot we got to get our steel brake line unthreaded from the wheel cylinder. There we go. I just used a crescent wrench because I knew it was not on there tight. Okay, so there's our backing plate with our brakes. Let's get this side out. And I don't think I told you. I think this completely slipped my mind. We are also putting brand new wheel studs in these axle shafts on the flanges here. Going back to the old canteen smell coming out of this axle housing, it's kind of a musty, watery smell, you know, like a, it's like a, it just smells like moldy water, you know? So, that's one of the reasons to take this entire axle housing and everything out, and then it can be completely disassembled and we can wash everything out and make sure there's no debris or water or anything inside of it. I'm really glad that the car did not come off of the jack stands, because it would have just pinned me up against this wall. So that's good. That's good news. Just disconnecting our rubber brake hose and oh, okay, well, need to unbolt these shocks on the bottom. Actually, won't bolt them on the top and the bottom. We'll get the shocks completely out of here. And then we can do our U-bolts and get the whole housing out. Hopefully this goes real easy. There we go. Came right off. Perfect! Just how we like it. Slicker than snot, as they say. Alright, so this is pretty cool here. I want you to see this. The rubber bushing on this shock is completely blown out. And so they've got baling wire holding it on. Remember, the guy I bought this car from drove this car to high school in the 70s. So there's all kinds of stuff like this. You know, high school stuff. And from farm country, in the middle of nowhere, North Dakota, you're gonna get where this car came from. You're gonna get baling wire like that. And there's actually some baling wire plus something else going on over there that we'll take a close look at a little bit later. I want to show you And I actually want your opinion on it, but for right now, let's snip this wire. Or actually, should we save this baling wire, and after we put brand new shocks on the car, we could put this baling wire back on as kind of an homage to the previous owner's glory days? Because I would like to show him the car when it's back on the road. But, well, this is actually it's kind of breaking apart actually. I don't know, maybe we'll take brand new baling wire and make it rusty and then put it on over the brand new shock. I don't know. Put your comment and what you think in the comment section on this video. But remember, in an earlier video we did take that baling wire right there that was holding the rear brake hose up. That was on there when we got the car as well, so that's from the 70s too. And that is the actual wire, and we put that back on. But, I don't know. Tell me what you think. Turns out this stud's actually broken. Snapped off. It should be a little bit longer. And the nut, I'm trying to find it with my hand. There it is. Yeah, it was just barely on here. I don't know. We'll have to deal with that later. Check out this awesome shock though. Is that cool or what? It actually might not be blown out. We'll have to take this all apart sometime and inspect this a little bit more. But you never know. Maybe we'll throw some, do some new bushings and clean it up and reuse it. I mean, these shocks, this style of shock looks really cool. I don't know, we'll figure that out, but for right now we gotta carry on with the plan of the day. Yep, more baling wire on this side. It would be cool to know the full story. Did he bring his car into the high school auto shop one day and because he was hearing some kind of noise, and he brings it in and the kids start crawling underneath it and they find out that, oh geez, the bushings on your shocks are completely blown out. And the shock teacher probably said something like, geez, I've never even seen that before. How did you do that? And then he called the parts store, and when he heard the price of new shocks and realized that there wasn't even enough time to install new shocks before class was over, so he just threw baling wire around it for a quick fix, and then it's been that way ever since. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm just about spot on. We need a hammer. This pry bar was closer. I'm using the wrong hand. That's why my accuracy is not very good. Okay, hold on. I gotta switch. Okay, this one's, yeah. This is what you call a souvenir, a memento, a hanger of the wall. Time to remove the U-bolts to separate the axle housing from the leaf springs. But here's the most important part. we need to reposition these jack stands. Look how this is all being held together. If we just started zipping the nuts off of these U-bolts, or cutting the U-bolts, removing them in some way, the car is just going to fall to the ground. So we need to jack this thing up, and we're just gonna slide the jack stands back to here. Yeah, I don't think so, buddy. Yeah, well, we knew that was never gonna happen. Is it almost Christmas yet? I think we need to hit the turbo boost. Alright, going down again. Love it up when we're going down. Yeah, yeah. Alright, I gotta unplug this light so that I can plug in our angle grinder. I'm making sure that the switch is off. I've plugged in an angle grinder before, and it took off across a brand new wood top of a brand new toolbox, and yeah, that wasn't fun. Let's try to break those nuts loose one more time. Let's get a little bit more leverage, and yeah, I just want to try one more time real quick. If not, we'll cut them. All right, I am prepared for this knot to work. I'm pretty sure it's not going to, especially since, well, I actually didn't pre-soak the U-bolts like everything else has been soaking for a night or two, but for some reason I didn't think to do the U-bolts. Okay, now obviously, yeah, that's not going to work. Let's stick this in there. Alright, prepare for, oh, there you go. I personally do not reuse U-bolts because when you install brand new U-bolts, you stretch them out. And so if you run a set of U-bolts from 1956 to 2023, God, how is it even 2023? I can't even believe that. But if you do that and then you take them apart, I wouldn't reuse them. They've been stretched. Just my opinion. But you know, this is all about having fun, and let's just, I don't know, I'm just gonna keep turning and see if it actually will come apart. My guess is even though it was turning, it would probably end up snapping. let's just jack this thing up and see if the housing separates from the leaf springs. Okay, it's separated on the passenger side. There we go. There we go. You just need to pop it off on the driver's side now, and when that happens, it's going to want to tip forward because the weight of the pinion on the front. We are just going to let it tip forward. We're just going to let it do its thing. Well, actually, it might not tip forward because of these large spring perches that are factory welded to the underside of the axle tubes. Oh, come on now. I was just about to let it down because I realized that was going to happen. This axle's got water in it. It's coming out past the pinion seal. Good thing we're taking this all apart to inspect everything and freshen everything up. This is why I wanted to do this. Although I was not expecting there to be water in there. But with the smell that I was describing to you and the missing vent or breather, it kind of all makes sense now. That's North Dakota water dripping out here in Texas. I wonder how long it's been in there. Alright, I'm through with this comedy routine. Let's get this thing out from underneath the car, open it up, and see what it looks like. Alright, I have, not sure how much I'm going to struggle with this. But, yeah, enjoy the show. I got a couple dollies, car dollies under here, and I'm going to just maneuver, well, I'm just gonna, just turn it and get it on the rolly things and, There's more than one way that we could get this out. We could put the jack underneath it and I just put my knee in that water. It's kind of cold. And we could just bring it out over the top of the leaf springs, or we can do it this way. Man, that water is still coming out. But we're doing it this way, just not for really any reason at all, just what I feel like doing. And if we have too much trouble here, we'll do it the other way. So now the key is, ow, my shoulder just popped. I think I need some vitamin D, man. Okay, I'm ready to bring this end of the housing down. Hopefully it doesn't slip off back here and crush my ankle. We will see. There we go. There we go. See caveman work. Oh, we're gonna have to go that way. I think we can get rid of this other dolly. Now, I could go on a huge rant right now, but I'll just go on a mini rant. My only option here is to bring the axle out forward. My option to come out this way towards the rear, it doesn't exist because the curb. I need some air flowage. Alright, sweet. Let's take our brand new brake lines off real quick. The lines we made by hand from scratch in a previous video. And then we'll knock some of the grease chunks off this thing and open it up and see what it looks like in here. Whoa! We got 411s in this. I didn't notice that before. It's the first time I actually looked at this tag. For a little bit of context, this is my first 56 Chevy that I've ever owned. And on the bottom of the third member, in yellow paint marker, it says 55. So maybe somebody got this rear end or just the third member from a junkyard. Junkyard's like the yellow paint marker, and it came out of a 55. I don't know. So I don't know if this is a 55 or 56 rear end. And why I mentioned that this is my first 56 I've ever had is I'm not 100% sure if this tag means 411. But I'm pretty sure that I remember reading that somewhere, that this shape, I don't think there's anything on here, which there isn't. There's nothing stamped in here. Maybe an ink from the factory. It had the gear ratio on here because this is just so that at the factory they can identify what gears are in here when they're moving parts around the plant. But this shape here, I believe, means 411. If you have the answer, feel free to share your knowledge down in the comments. Alright, I think that is good enough for right now. If it turns out we got a big rusty, crusty mess inside here, then we know that there's no reason to go any further in this process because we're going to be completely rebuilding this third member. So hopefully that's not the case with this case. Oh man. I'll be here all week, folks. Don't forget to tip your waiter. If you're wondering why I'm not using a hammer, it's because I don't want to have to climb over the top of the pickup truck that's in here for the 30th time. Ugh. Lift with your back, not your legs. Right? Isn't that what they say? All right. Let's see the manifest. Ooh, I love the smell of gear oil. I love it. Now to do this in a way where I don't get a bunch of dirt in it. Yeah, I don't know. Well, now I'm extra glad that we opened this up. That way we can get everything out. You know, if we would have just left it in the car the way it was and just put new gear oil in it and ran it, all that water would have been in there. So that makes me happy. Spider egg sac. That thing I'm not worried about. That would have just gotten chewed up in the gears, but we will get it out. Now, feast your eyes on this. I've seen worse. I'm not too concerned. I'm sure we could just clean this up. We do need to inspect it though. Inspect all the teeth, make sure there's no broken or chipped teeth. Doesn't look like anything's broken. That's an open differential. In case you did not know that, that's not a posi or anything to send power to both your rear wheels. This is a classic one-wheel wonder. Some of the teeth on the ring gear are actually a little chewed up. I blame the spider. Let's use our magnet on a stick and see if there's any metal chunks in here. Maybe it's just my imagination. It's going to be great. So let's dump out that watery oil, and then we're going to set the third member back in the housing just for a stable place for it to sit. And we will degrease the outside of everything, and on the inside of the third member we'll brake clean it, get it cleaned up that way. Then maybe wire wheel everything, prime, paint, hopefully that gasket fits. A guy can spend minutes, hours, even days at times trying to decide, should I clean the outside of something first or the inside of something first? Whoa. And sometimes, you know, that matters with things and sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, it doesn't matter if we clean the outside or the inside first. So the trick is to, you know, just stop thinking so much. Just do stuff. Just get it done, you know? I am gonna pop this clip and this brass union off because I want to, no, not polish it up, but clean it up just like we did with this one here. Or I guess the two of them up here on the front of the car, because they used to look real yucky like this one, and so we'll get that cleaned up. So I'll take that off and just set it to the side, and we're just going to worry about the big stuff first. We'll set these up here, and I bet you just about anything in the near future I'll be looking for those, and I'll walk around this car 10 times and won't see them. We're getting close to throwing the third member back in here with the new gasket, and then throwing some primer and some paint on the unit. But you want to see something interesting? I have read in the past about 55 through 57 Chevy axles where people have issues with their bearings not fitting properly into here and not sealing properly. And one cause that some say, don't know if it's true or not, is that if the U-bolts get over tightened, it can distort the end of the axle tube where your bearing goes in, which makes sense, but it's kind of hard to believe because this big flange is welded on here. So you would think if this was crushed at all that it wouldn't affect that. Maybe it would, I'm not sure, but check out when we look through the end of the tube with sunlight coming through here. Check that out. That first ripple is where the flange is welded on, and then the second ripple and third ripple, if you want to call it a ripple, or indentation, I don't know. Those two, the second and third one, is from the U-bolts. Okay, so note where they are. And then look right here. Here's our witness marks for the U-bolts, and then that's where the flange is welded on. Let's look at it one more time. Interesting. There could be some truth to the myth. The housing is outside, aka in the paint booth, ready to be painted. So I was just going to put a first coat on the top side of it and then come back in and clean up our third member here and then get it out there for its first coat. But I swear I bought 10,000 cans of this the last time. This is what we're going with, semi-gloss, which is the same as all the other suspension parts that we've painted on this car so far. And we're doing the 2-in-1, shampoo plus conditioner. You know what I'm talking about, guys. I just feel like that's the call to make in this sitch, but I gotta go buy some paint. So I'll be right back. Alright, we got paint. The horror of being in public is over. I forgot to take these off. I popped this one off with a hammer. We're not going to be lazy. We need to get that one off too, but we aren't going down to bare metal in the housing though. It's not a restoration, and if we had room to sandblast this outside, we would do that. We could take it down to bare metal easy. I'm just trying to get, you know, the big stuff off, the big, you know, surface rust and grease and stuff off like we did. Just need to hit it up. And we're here now where we took these off, and we are reusing our factory bump stops. I was just gonna throw the hardware on here and snug everything up and then just spray all this with our semi-gloss black, hardware and all. But I've changed my mind. I've just decided that, you know, I don't want the third member to be semi-gloss black. I want it to be the color that it was at the factory, which is oxide red. This still does have some of the oxide red color on here. I mean, you're looking at it, but we'll give her a fresh coat. I think that'll be a lot cooler than black, so that's what I want to do. Man, I really don't feel like picking this third member up again and handling it because it's already in place, but this is going to be definitely worth it. Here's the paint. This red oxide primer. This happens to be Ace of Base, which who knows who makes it. I don't have any comment, negative or positive, towards Ace hardware spray paint. This is the only red oxide primer that I could find available locally, so it's what we're using. Oh man. Oh man. That looks sweet. Doesn't smell good though. I'm just painting very gingerly because we're doing this inside. And so I'm just kind of controlling the overspray. Well, that's the first coat. We'll do one more coat. It's looking pretty cool though, isn't it? And you might be wondering, what is Freeman doing about this and this? Why is he, seems kind of like he's neglecting it here. Well, after we get the second coat on, I'll tell you what the deal is with that. I'm going to go wait outside and let this dry up because that red oxide primer, it's pretty, it's kind of an intense odor. Alright, second coat going on. Oh yeah, some extreme vapors coming off this stuff. You know, sometimes you're dealing with something that you know you shouldn't be breathing in, but it actually has kind of a pleasant smell, so you tolerate it. Well, this stuff is telling you, get away. Do not let this stuff enter your lungs. Alright, I think we beat up this poor gasket enough. So, let's see if we can drop it right in. There we go. Man, that looks cool. That looks really cool. I've been trying to figure out what the smell of this red oxide primer reminds me of, and it finally hit me. It smells just like the fiberglass topper plant I worked at probably 15-20 years ago. They made fiberglass toppers for pickup trucks, you know, camper shells. It smells like the resin. Our tag here, I just, you know, realized maybe we should polish this up down to bare metal. Because I think, I kind of doubt it would have been painted at the factory because, like I mentioned earlier about an ink stamp, I'm sure they had the gear ratio stamped in here in ink, so it was probably just bare metal. Alright, yeah, let's do it. Let's take this down to bare metal. Which will be cool because then eventually from driving in weather and whatnot, or just operating our motor vehicle on public roadways, our tag and our hardware here will get a nice natural light coat of surface rust, and our third member here will still be red oxide primer, and our housing will still be semi-gloss black, and it'll look like a factory car with a little bit of miles on it. That's my theory anyways. The deal with these two pieces here, why I'm not very worried about them right now, is they are going to be coming off to put our brand new pinion seal in, which is in here. The one that's in here was leaking with the previous owner. We knew that because of all the oil that was built up on here. And that's not going to be done in this video because the rear end's got to get back in the car, and then I'll show you my special little trick about how I'm going to get this off and whatnot. But in the meantime, let's get this down to bare metal, and then we'll throw it on. Now, why are wheels not taking it down to bare metal very easily? And so I thought, well, maybe we just throw it in the blast cabinet real quick, but actually, I think, I don't know what that looks like to you, but it's blackish brownish. That's pretty much what we're looking for in color, so let's roll with it. Oh yeah, this looks good. This looks real good. It looks Daisy Duke good. You know what I'm saying? Heck yeah, man. Pretty sweet, huh? Alright, cool. I enjoyed myself. That was fun. That looks awesome. I get a huge kick out of that red oxide primer. The rest of the parts should show up in the mail sometime soon, and then we'll be able to finish refurbishing this axle 100%. Bushings are coming as well, so we'll be able to pull the leaf springs and shackles out and give all that the royal treatment as well. And then the axle and the leaf springs will go back into the car. There's another 56 Chevy video up on your screen right now that you can go ahead and watch next, and I'll see you next time.